Well, hello, everyone. Thank you once again for joining me in my podcast, Let's Speak It Out Loud. I am your host, the goddess Candace, and it is my pleasure to be with you once again this evening, guys. I hope everyone is doing well today on January the 12th, 2022, and I hope 2022 has been well for you guys so far. So first thing, I just want to start out by saying thank you to every single person who has been following me on my podcast, every single person who's commented, who's texted me on the side, who said, hey, I like what you're talking about. I like what you're doing, girl. Keep it going. I'm just here to give you a little bit of knowledge to help you make it through this crazy life that we're all living. So once again, thank you all for tuning in to Let's Speak It Out Loud, where we speak truth and we speak it out loud. We talk about the things that no one's really talking about, and we talk about the things in the Black community that we need to talk about. We face it with truth, we're honest with ourselves, and we get it done. So with that being said, I definitely want to thank everyone who has donated to the podcast. Those donations help me keep this thing going, and you guys are really letting me know how much you love what I do, and I appreciate that. You know, I really do. And I do this so we all can change our trajectory. Sometimes when we're not informed, we don't know what to do. So if I can be that guiding light and that beacon in the darkness, I definitely want to do that. So thank you again for all of you who have donated to the podcast. And if you'd like to donate to the podcast, please feel free. Not a problem. You can donate to the podcast at paypal.me/speakit LMCM17. That's paypal.me/speakit LMCM17. Or if you like the Cash App, not a problem. $ Candace Y. Miller, $ Candace Y. Miller. And in the caption, you can just put donations for the greatest podcast on the planet. And I appreciate that. All right, guys. So let's get started. When we talked about the last podcast, not yesterday. These days have seemed to be just meshing together in 2022. We talked about on that last podcast, guys, how to start your own LLC. And I told you with the next podcast, I would follow up a little bit on what it is about your credit that you need to understand. So I'm going to follow up on some things today because there was a news report that came out on January 5th, 2022. And the news report was from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to point out some points to you guys and some facts on that. Because remember I told you, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, those are not government agencies whatsoever. They are independent financial companies who get paid to put things on your credit report from creditors. Now, it's not their responsibility to report whether it's right or wrong, theft or whatever. You have to dispute those things. And those are some of the things that we're going to talk about today in this podcast, guys, because you really need to know this. This is for all of you guys who don't know what to do, all of you guys who think you're doing it right, and all of you guys who are like, I ain't got time for that. Guys, credit, we got to get it straight. We got to get it together if we want to move forward. And if we're not financially stable in this economy, we can't stand up for ourselves. No one's going to listen to you, and you're going to continue to reach for the scraps that these parties want to throw to us. Hey, we'll give you this, we'll give you that stimulus, but what they're not going to give you, they're not going to give you reparations, and it's the reason why. If you get reparations, then there's no more workers, because you will not only think on a different level, you might stop thinking as a robot worker and start thinking as a boss. So we're going to touch on that. Once again, guys, let's talk about this article from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. You can actually look them up, the CFPB. And this is from the Newsroom Report. And this report actually came out January the 5th, 2022. Okay? So I'm going to read a little bit of this report to you guys, and you can look it up yourself. I'm always going to give you the receipts of where you can look and find these things. So, like I said, don't believe nothing that I tell you. I want you to think that I am the craziest person on this planet. But you know what? think I'm crazy, but be bold enough and brave enough to check it out for yourself. If you can do that, that's all I ask. That's all I ask. Before you say, Candace crazy as hell, she don't know what she talking about, check it out. If you brave enough, if you bad enough, check out the information that I'm giving you. So let's get into this report, guys. All right. So it says CFPB, which is, once again, I said, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. CFPB releases reports detailing consumer complaint response deficiencies in the big three credit bureaus. That will be your Equifax, your TransUnion, and your Experian, okay? And like I said, this came out January 5th, 2022. It says, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion routinely failed to fully respond to consumers with errors. You know, they tell you, go ahead and dispute that. Go ahead and dispute that. Well, guess what? The reason your credit is not moving, guys, I'm doing it myself. I'm paying my bills on time, and I'm writing my own dispute letters. That's a great thing, but these companies don't care. They get paid to put stuff on. They don't get paid to take stuff off, okay? So they have been failing in doing what they are required to do. They've been failing to respond to the consumers with errors. So it says, Washington, D.C., a new analyst by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, once again, CFPB, reveals how changes in complaint processes provided by nationwide consumer reporting companies resulted in fewer meaningful responses and less consumer relief. In 2021, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion together reported relief in response to less than 2% of covered complaints, down from nearly 25% covered complaints in 2019. Let me say that to you again. This article is basically saying they only responded to less, not even 2%, less than 2% of complaints. And that was nearly down 25% of the covered complaints of 2019. All right. America's credit reporting organization has little incentive to treat consumers fairly when the credit reports have errors. So said the CFPB director, Rohit Chopra. I hope I said that name right. Rohit, Rohit Chopra, Chopra. Today's report is further evidence of the serious harm stemming from their faulty financial surveillance business model. So, guys, you're wasting your time writing these dispute letters and sending them in, and they're throwing them in the trash pretty much. It says, credit reporting plays a critical role in consumers' lives and has an enormous reach beyond consumer financial services. More than 200 million Americans have credit files, and lenders rely on this information to decide whether to approve loans and on what terms. So if you got misinformation on your credit report, guys, you can get a quadruple interest rate versus a fair interest rate just because these companies, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, are refusing to do what they say that they actually do. They'll report bad stuff on there, and they'll leave that on there. So who's doing the damn work in the offices? So they are just sitting there looking at computers. Oh, here go another one. Here's another complaint. Throw it in there. But what does their credit look like? Okay? So it says here, consumer reporting also informs decisions about employment, insurance, housing, and even essential utilities. For consumers, inaccuracies on credit reports drive up the cost of credit and severely limit opportunities such as starting a small business or buying a home. Let me reiterate and repeat that. Okay? Consumer reporting also informs decisions about employment, insurance, housing, and even essential utilities. For consumers, inaccuracies on credit reports drive up the cost of credit and severely limit opportunities such as starting a business or buying a home. Guys, I'm going to be completely honest with you because you know I talked to you about our program that I'm involved with that changed my life, about our credit repair system that we have in our financial literacy program. And let me tell you something. I just told you in the last episode that you have to have that personal credit score up to help you starting your small business and buying a new home. You know, I have an extremely low interest rate compared to a lot of people here in the state of South Carolina due to my credit. So I need y'all to understand this. And if you look at this, I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm reading this article. But what I do know is this. These inaccuracies tend to affect black people. I ain't going to say people of color. Black people. Not brown people or how you want to identify yourself. Black people, the black American. Because I know here in the state of South Carolina, they do statistics on things. And a couple of years ago, when I was going to buy a house, I started looking at statistics because I'm a data girl. I'm a data girl, and I told you guys earlier that I am a nerd. And even the Hispanics or Latinx or whatever they like to identify as, I don't know, not my concern. They had more opportunities of buying homes than black Americans. We're at the bottom of the total poll. And I promise you, if you look at your state that you're in right now, and you look at the disparity between black Americans and Latinx, whatever, that falls into. Not saying anything about anybody or how they choose to identify. But when you look at the data and the statistics, we are still dead last in every single state. Probably even in Atlanta. And y'all know Atlanta is the mecca for black billionaires. Okay? So I just wanted to touch on that with you guys because, trust me, these inaccuracies, they're keeping us behind. And these credit reporting agencies, in my mind, my personal opinion, don't have data on this, but just looking at the facts of a lot of things. Like I say, you check your state. This is another form of redlining, this credit reporting thing. So we have to be on top of our game, okay? Now, the article also goes on to say, consumers submitted more than 700,000 complaints to the CFPB regarding Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion from January 2020 through September 2021. 700,000 complaints, guys. Consumers. Who's a consumer? We're all consumers. We're considered consumers. So consumers filed that many complaints against Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion from January 2020 through September 2021. 700,000. Some of you listening right now may have filed a complaint, which represented more than 50% of all complaints received by the agency for that period. Consumers submit more complaints about inaccurate information on their credit and consumer reports than about any other problem. I'm going to say it again. The CFPB says that we as consumers, we submitted more complaints about inaccurate information on their credit and consumer reports than any other problem. Consumers most frequently assert that the inaccurate information belongs to someone else. And consumers often describe being victims of identity theft. Oh, so they don't care. Oh, they just lying. And I know several people who have been subjected to identity theft by family members. Because, once again, like I told y'all, my program with United Credit Educational Services, go on my website, y'all, ucespp.net/CMiller28. ucespp.net/CMiller28. And join my financial literacy program, okay? Because, and the reason I keep pushing that for you guys to do that is simply because of this. We have credit attorneys that write your dispute letters for you, and they mail them to you. I had one girl say, "What? Why don't they just send them to me? Why don't they just mail them for me? I'm paying them." Well, guys, a lot of us have been subjected to another company who likes to fashion themselves as strictly credit repair, and you pay them $99 a month and nothing happens. I'm just going to say the first letter of their company is L and the last word is law. They got me. And then when I told them they weren't doing anything after 6 months, They wanted to give me 2 to 3 months free. For what? You haven't done anything in 6 months. But when I joined United Credit Educational Services, y'all, within 3 months, my credit score jumped up almost 200 points. So I'm going to get into why I'm talking about this, okay? All right, so it says the CFPB found the 3 companies often failed to provide substantive responses, especially when they alleged the complaints were sent in by third parties. That company I just told you about. However, consumers can authorize third-party representatives to submit complaints on their behalf if they want. So, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian basically said that the reason they weren't responding to these complaints is because those people had third parties sending in the dispute letters for them. However, by law, you can authorize a third-party representative to submit your complaints on your behalf, okay? Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian failed to meet statutory obligations, okay? I talked a lot about this before. The Fair Credit Reporting Act, FCRA. It's a lot of acronyms when you start dealing with different laws. So the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the FCRA, requires Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion to conduct a review of complaints sent in through the CFPB, where consumers allege there is incomplete or inaccurate information in their consumer reports, and the consumer appears to have previously attempted to fix the problem with the company. The companies must then report their determinations and actions for those covered complaints to the CFPB. All right, today's report shows Equifax most often promised to open an investigation and send the results to the consumers at a later date, but it would fail to provide the CFPB with the outcomes of the investigation. TransUnion made similar promises and frequently failed to provide the outcomes of the investigation to the CFPB. It often stated it would take no action on complaints because it believed the complaints were submitted by third parties. For many complaints, Experian frequently stated it would take no action because it believed the complaints were submitted by third parties. However, it did respond to the remaining complaints, okay, with substantive responses. Okay, so let's stop right here. So basically, guys, all they're saying is when you do your dispute letters, it doesn't matter to the 3 credit bureaus if you had a third party do it or if you're doing it yourself. It's verbiage. And they're not paying any attention to you. And with that being said, they are failing to report their findings to the Consumer Federal Protection Bureau, which is a contract and by law what they signed on that they're supposed to do. You know, the CFPB, that's the watchdog group for the 3 privately owned companies, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. Okay? And TransUnion is the worst. If any of you guys have tried to take care of your credit, you will know that they are the worst. Because by law, they have up to 45 days to respond. Okay? One of the main complaints that these consumers had, and this happened to my wife, when we first got into it, and our credit attorneys had to get deep, which the credit attorneys come with the program that I keep telling y'all to get on to fix your credit. Go straight to my website and learn about the financial literacy program, okay? But one of the main sources to consumer debt is medical mistakes, okay? Consumer reporting inaccuracies and mistakes on medical bills, all right? Consumers find that opaque pricing, the complex systems of insurance coverage, and frequent delays in consumers finally receiving bills create an unforgivable quorum and can make it harder to resolve billing errors. Accordingly, the CFPB's previous research shows consumers often struggle to even determine whether the debt belongs to them. And if it does, whether the amount is accurate. Medical billing is just an example, but highlights the ease with which errors, mistakes, and inaccuracies can occur, along with the financial consequences that follows. So, guys, what are we going to do? I need you to understand that within the next couple of years, and I'm not thinking it's going to be today or it's going to be tomorrow or not even next week or next month, but I promise you with this report coming out on January the 5th, 2022, within the next couple of years, I don't think it's going to be 3 credit bureaus. I think we're going towards one universal credit system, which would make sense. However, guys, I'm telling y'all this to let you know, read the writing on the wall, and it's time now. I don't give a damn what else you think is important. Take care of your business now. Get on that credit report and start taking care of things, because as you can see, these companies, they don't care. And then you have to fight and fight and fight. That's not me. That wasn't me. This and that. But these companies aren't doing their job, and they're being held accountable for it because too many of us are complaining about it. Basically, too, the one thing I want to tell you is, let me add this part. The key findings from all of this that I'm telling you about that's in this report is this. Overall, consumers describe lost my place right here. Okay, overall, consumers describe a consumer reporting system that is not working for them. It's not. I'm going to tell you that now. And the serious consequences that follow when inaccurate information is and remains on the consumer reports. Other key findings from this report include Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion relied heavily on a template complaint responses instead of providing meaningful and thorough responses to customers, despite having up to 60 calendar days to respond. By law, they have up to 45, but in some cases, they can take up to 60 days to respond. They were using a template. So when you were getting them letters or getting dispute, or if you're on Credit Karma or whatever, Experian.com, and you push that button for dispute or whatever, and it says, well, if dispute's in and this is what we found, they were lying when they said they didn't find anything and creditor confirmed it. They were lying. They were lying. Okay, that's basically what this report is saying. Beginning in early 2020, Experian and TransUnion stopped providing substantive responses to consumer complaints if they suspected that a third party was involved in submitting the complaint. In many instances, Equifax and TransUnions promised to investigate, but failed to provide their outcome investigations to the CFPB, and instead stated that they would forward the complaints to their dispute channel. So, the CFPB is the watchdog group, the federal watchdog group, to protect us against these people on our credit reports. And they have to report the responses of the disputes of what they found out from their investigation. So basically, they just said, screw them. We're not going to investigate at all, and we're going to forward you to the dispute channel as well. That's not how that works. Okay? Listen to this, y'all. Federal law, I'm going to say it again, federal law requires Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion to conduct a review of certain complaints sent to them by the CFPB to determine whether all of their legal obligations have been met with respect to the subject matter of the complaint, and to report their determinations and actions to the CFPB. They said, screw it, we ain't reporting nothing to y'all. We don't care that it is federal law. You see how things are happening, guys? Everybody's avoiding law, and we're taking opinion. So that's why we got to be very, very careful about this cancel culture, because this cancel culture is about opinion. And once again, I have an opinion. You have an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. But these damn people shouldn't have an opinion about whether they're going to do the right thing or the wrong thing when it concerns you or I or anybody else and our private financial information that you're reporting on. That's the difference between a 1.99% mortgage rate and a 5% mortgage rate. A 1.99% auto finance rate and a 13 or 17% finance rate for your car. Do you know how much money you're paying in extra interest because they are failing to do their job to release all of this information and address these complaints? It says, however, more than 50% of these complaints did not receive this review based in part on their suspicions that the complaints were submitted by third parties. What does it fucking matter? There's no law that says you can't have a third party do it. This is the reason why our program, our credit attorneys, get your permission to pull your credit to see what's on there. They let you know everything that's on there and you tell them what to dispute. They will use the proper verbiage to set the dispute letters. Once they redo the dispute letters, they send them to you. Now, by law, to even submit this information in to Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, you, due to the Patriot Act and everything that we have today, have to prove your identity. So with that being said, you have to make a copy of your ID and your Social Security card with your legal name on it, along with your dispute letters, and send one to TransUnion with your dispute letters, Equifax with your dispute letters, and Experian to your dispute letters. That's the reason why our credit attorneys send you everything and you mail it. You tell them the reasoning, they type it up for you, put in the proper verbiage, and you mail it from your home address to these people who don't give a damn about your credit. And their job is to report accurate information. And when you dispute it, to give it a fair shake and check and see, damn, did we put something on here right or wrong, or is it a mistake? But they haven't been doing that. And now the chicken is coming home to roost. They are being held responsible. It says, as a result, many consumers did not receive meaningful responses to complaints submitted through the CFPB complaint process. Overall, consumers described feeling frustrated and stressed when a nationwide consumer reporting agency's automated process for correcting inaccuracies did not work, or when they do not get responses to their concerns. Consumers report that they spend time, energy, and money to try to correct the inaccuracies. So we're spending time, energy, and money to try to fix the inaccuracies, and these companies, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, don't give a shit. Guys, let's get it together. I'm here. I'm trying to give you a solution. I'm trying to get you there. If you're trying to open a business, you got to get it there. We will not succeed if we keep brushing stuff under the rug because we think it's too hard. I implore you, y'all, get your credit together. Go to my website, ucespp.net/CMiller28. ucespp.net/CMiller28. And if it's not worth it to you to spend a little bit of money to get a whole financial literacy program, besides just getting your credit report taken care of, then I don't know what hope we're going to have. You're just going to be that person that's just going to sit there and complain, oh, the man got it set up for us. Hell yeah, the man got it set up for us. And Goddess Candace is trying to help you get out of the situation of the setup. What's the definition of insanity, people? Somebody tell me in the comments. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Okay? So if you want to do better, be better. Change the trajectory of your thought process and how you think. I'm just here to get y'all to a whole nother level. You can listen to me or not. You can do what I suggest or not. It makes me no difference, but you can't say I ain't never told you. All right, y'all. I want to thank y'all once again so much for listening to Let's Speak It Out Loud. Guys, we got to speak it out loud to each other. We got to tell each other the truth. We got to talk about our shortcomings, and we got to be the solution to our own problems if we want to get somewhere. You got to step up and pay attention. You got to step up and pay attention. Ain't that what they saying in Sister Act? All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all listening to Let's Speak It Out Loud once again. I have been stumbling over my words tonight because y'all got to tell you, this has bothered me so much. And I want y'all to know how to get it done and how to do it. I love y'all. I want to thank y'all once again for listening to me. Let's speak it out loud. This is the Goddess Candace. And once again, I love you all. Peace, blessings, prosperity, and just love yourself. If you love yourself, you'll learn how to love the world. Love y'all. Peace.